Ciao, Colin. Ciao, Bambini. How are things?
Good. I'm awake at midnight, and here we are once again,
Yeah.
22 seconds later, back in the hot seat.
Well, we should tell people there's good news for you on that front, less so for the Americans who tune in live, assuming they work normal jobs, which I don't know if anyone watching this show works a normal job. This is a ship of reprobates, right?
Indeed.
But daylight savings arrives in Goth Island. So here on Saturday or Sunday, whatever it is, they do it at that midnight when young people like us are up and no one else is. So it'll be 11 p.m. for you next week. And then I need to check it possibly 10 p.m. once you guys switch over to daylight savings.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh, fabulous. It'll be, I mean, it's all nightfall now. Like, we're in the autumn here, so it's like it's dark at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, what,
like,
what do you care?
Well, I'm a creature of the night, so famously. But yeah, that'll be interesting. We did that. Obviously, that's crazy. We started this, and it was spring here, coming out of winter for you. I mean, it really has been. It's the full cycle. It's the full circle.
Yeah, which is good because it's the ring card. So
Indeed.
that
There
works.
you go.
Yep. What else have you been up to in your 22 seconds? Just
in my
ran to the
22
bathroom
seconds
and
I
came
have
back. Yeah.
Ran to the bathroom, powdered my nose, drawn a little, watched some TV, went to the gym. That is literally it on repeat. Like, I think now, as we get into the final stretch, I think that will literally just be like the lifestyle for me. So a group of people that I know that I used to work with in Blockbuster when I was 24 2 days ago, I've suggested a Christmas night out. So that's what I'm having to deal with in my life. Like, we are now already discussing
Christmas
nights out themed
Christmas.
for winter, and it's absolutely going to be a Christmas murder mystery. And I am hoping for more stringent lockdowns so that
Exactly.
I'm not, guys. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No,
Oh, what were you? What have you been up to?
Oh no, I'm sitting with the horror of like, why you got to make something that's just pure chaos, which is a office Christmas party of sorts, a colleague's Christmas party, where someone ends up cheating on their wife with a stripper. Why you got to make something so beautiful and pure annoying?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and let me tell you the final twist in that tale. We, as a group, went to the same murder mystery 3 years in a row with the same cast. Like, because it was so much fun that they were like, let's go again. And I was like, this is, and like, we were friends with the cast. Like, I became a like extra in their play because like they clocked us immediately. By that point, we couldn't even win the competition prizes because they were like, they know it's a different story, but they know what we're doing here. It was a truly bizarre time, but also we did get discounts as cast members of the production, so that was fine.
So yeah, retail Christmas parties. The only other gay in the village, although he's moved to Hobart now, he used to work for Woolworths, which is Australia's largest supermarket, and he worked there for like in the store in Huonville for like 14 years or something. No, it was 11 years, and they had the same thing except it was like an escape room. Where it's like, since you all loved it so much last year, let's do this again. It's just cheap, and they figure no one's gonna like get blackout drunk and wander into traffic. So that's why you end up. It's like babysitting mentally retarded children. Is how like retail companies do Christmas birthday parties, except for Virgin Records. Must be said that when I worked for a Virgin Megastore, again I was 4 at the time. No, that was a mess. That was a delightful mess in a mansion.
Lanes of coke as far as I could see. Space Girls standees that couldn't shift or whatever.
Good times. All right, I just realized I got to pop out the chat because there's already fun happening in it. 1 second. In other news, we have been playing around with more merch. Nothing to show yet because it takes forever to get here. And James is talking to the lovely Kana, which is our publishing consultant in Hong Kong, regarding getting test prints and even a test box because we actually know the size of the book. So we kind of settled on, although I'll get your opinion and even chat opinion on this because most of you guys have bought one. We have the option, there's little magnet boxes. that can sort of cover just the cards. She was talking about one of them, but I don't like when I think about when I read cards, because it comes back to I would like these to be used for jobbing fortune tellers. So it comes back to I think people can get their own gay little velvet cloth like I have for my cards, right? So I think we're going to go with a more standard, but obviously nice box that contains the book and the cards, rather than like a box for the cards and like a book somehow attached to it. Anyway, so we're working through that, and yeah, getting some test prints of some of the cards where they are, so that we know what the colors look like and everything. It's kind of exciting.
It's a trepidatious time, because
that's also true, because they come through going they all look like butts.
Yeah, squeaky bum time. Yeah, because you can see how it looks in print, and it should the files that we're working, it should be like fairly accurate to what we're working with. But it's like one of those, like, you're like, oh, this is how small everything is, or this is how everything reads. It's a scary time, but it's also an informative time, because once we get them, we can look at them and think definitively, like, this is what needs to change for this. If there's any like red flags and anything. So it's good that we're doing it. This is for a test run. This is relatively early, I would imagine, because we've still got a third of the deck to go through. So it's a good time to do it, I think, and just make sure everything's on the up and up and everything's kind of pristine when we get to printing these motherfuckers.
Exactly. For real. Should be fun. It actually reminds me, every time I get 2 days, because I need to start writing the book now that we're officially in Q4, because it's October here. Every time I get 2 days where I'm like, my book process very often involves sometimes extended stays elsewhere. Not that I don't adore where I live, but just from that creativity perspective, right? And I'm like, I'm going to go, I could do like Sunday night to Wednesday. I could get away next week and plan out the main parts of the book. Because this one in particular is going to be fun, because it's like all in my head and I just need to work out what the shape is. So I said famous last words, it's going to be a pleasant book to write. But I can't tell what kind of book retreat energy I want. Do I want the ghostwriter? Because it's still kind of cold here. Like, do I want like an Airbnb by some sand dunes where I can walk along in a hood being mysterious because my husband used to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? That kind of Cape Cod, speaking of AHS, Martha's Vineyard type energy, because Tasmania does that really well. Or do I want, because it's Lenormand, down by the docks? Is it written in like pubs down by the docks, bearing in mind I'm not really drinking at the moment, but I do have there's a pub called the Whaler, which is by the docks and is excellent. But like, I wonder if I can find grimmer docks, because Hobart's are quite salubrious. So I'm not sure. What do you reckon? Does it need to be like hooking energy or goth beach walking energy?
Oh, I don't know. Like, anytime I work out away from home, it's not like I don't escape anywhere, but it's just like going into a coffee shop or a bar or something. And I find that is useful, even if it's just for a day or whatever, like useful just because there's less distractions or less reason to be distracted. Whereas if you're in an Airbnb or whatever, maybe there's, I don't know, like I think it just depends how you work. I would go with a mix of both. Fuck it, like card to card or section to section, just whatever the mood is, whatever the vibe
road
is.
trip for one. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Think of the content. It would be amazing.
Yeah. All right. I might take that on board, because some of the kind of goth, like beach weather I'm looking for. The trouble is, it's school holidays here. That was the other point I was trying to make. Every time I get like a couple of days to myself, there's something annoying happening. And there's a massive weather front apparently coming through next week, which is arguments for both, like walking along the water and staying in the Airbnb, just working. And also for down by the docks is quite dramatic, same thing. So I don't think that's going to stop me, but it's school holidays. And that might, bless the little children, but I don't indeed. Like, yeah. Anyway,
let's keep them in their own area. I went swimming last Friday. That was something I did. after staying up late for the show, went swimming in the morning and forgot that it was in fact a school holiday, and I could hear them as I walked in. I could hear the screams, and it was kid soup by the time I got. I was just like, I swear, I got like 4 laps, and I was like, I can't deal with this. This is good luck to everyone involved, but I need to be somewhere else right now.
So has the conjunctivitis come through yet?
No, I took on Gordon's eye illness.
Oh no, I just meant kids are disease bags, and you're getting kids soup.
Right. Oh, because it's like, so dirty.
Yeah, I wouldn't go in without that like Chinese biohazard stuff.
Like above the water at all times, like head above the water, just refuse, just like stay away from me. So yeah, definitely can feel that vibe where if the place is like, do you guys get like a tourist season? I suppose you would be getting into a tourist season as well.
Well, you say that.
Oh no, of course not now, obviously, but
yeah, we're
silly.
still in imprisonment.
Guys,
so
just why did something happen?
Yeah, that's actually. I mean, I say it's a saving grace. It's not, because I know people who work in the tourism industry and they're fucked. But in terms of if I want to do like an instant couple of days away to work on something, I'm like, oh, there's a surprisingly good range of Airbnbs available at short notice. And you think, oh, that's not good. That's actually not good. They should not be available to me.
It should be packed.
Exactly. Anyway, all right. So I'm gonna take that on board, because as Chantel said, like maybe a haunted lighthouse. I'm like, all right, money bags. I said they're available Airbnbs. There's still ones I can't afford. But
that's like a Netflix show as well. Waiting to happen.
But there are some places in the north that have kind of like cool lighthouse energy, because they also have lighthouses. So I'll think about it. Anyway, so we should start with, because we've done any other business, we should start with previous cards. And
yes,
let's do the garden first, because it's becoming... hang on, is this the garden? Yes. You're like trapped in this card, speaking of American Horror Story.
It's a passion project. No, but I just keep looking at it and tweaking. It's hold on a second, what have we got? It's looking good, but like I still like every time I look at it, I'm just like, oh, that could be this and this could be that. And I think we were talking just before the show, there's like a trifecta, or maybe even more, of like cards that are they're in the same sort of sunny light. And I feel like I just need to bring them all up together. So it's like the house, we've got the card we're going to discuss, which we'll get to. I just like, so it's everything's in place, everything is fine. Or maybe I'm just being a psychopath. I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I think you're being
added lanterns and like parade shit, like, and then like
no, I can see that stuff. This is where I'm like, you're lost in this card. I love it, but yes, you don't. We don't need the lanterns. I'm happy they're in there, but nobody's going to see them.
Yeah.
No, but I would. I love it. I think it's cool. I actually wasn't sure, because I know a couple of people a few weeks ago asked about, are they going to remain silhouettes? Because they were black before, and I thought they were going to be more fully fleshed out. But looking at them, I don't think they need to be. I actually quite like it.
Because the perspective is it's kind of almost like one of those old like Disney cartoons. Like the scene is it's very like traditional and painted. It kind of adds the kind of like sort of surreality of it. They're not absolutely. They're not just like full people. They're like,
it's
because
like
they are
chocolate
people,
box.
they're not supposed to be.
Yeah. It's cute.
I
like it.
It's painting an ideal, and we got Lorelai and Rory in there, so there they are.
Yeah, it's God, this is the gayest fucking deck. And I have a deck called the Decameron, which is mostly heterosexual sex picks. It's a La Scarabea one. There's a lot of dick sucking in that deck, and this is gayer.
And we're holding back. Like we could go exactly. But
you guys don't even know. Like Fortune's Fool's X. That's the reach one. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think really, really good.
Cool.
Really, really good. And I think you can free yourself from stop
Just
cruising the garden.
put it fucking down. Well, yeah, cool. That's because there's a point for later, but that's got it.
Nice. All right, on to Ratatouille, which I still haven't seen. Carry on.
What are we doing? So she's on a time delay. I added a little mouse in. What did I do with this one?
I can see the little mouse sitting up in front of the inset. That's quite cool.
Yes. I thought I was inventing a new form of portable cooker, like stove thing, but this is like a Victorian camping stove that the pot is. So that's like what's happening. That was the solve for getting the pot boiling. Changed the tones and added we were talking about adding like a highlight to the mice so we could see them better. So I popped that in and just kind of tweaked everything and fixed like the shadows and stuff. So what do you think?
I'm really excited by it. And I keep thinking back to, I know you were over concerned about the hob, but when we do a lot of making bone broth and so on, and obviously it's in a pressure cooker rather than simmering on the pipe, on the saucepan on the stove. But we kind of push it back. So I look at this and think, yeah, of course there'd be a portable gas hob like a camp stove. And you just keep it in the corner. So I look at it and go, actually, I don't even think you need to make it up. Let's just say that's exactly what would happen. If you were someone who does overnight simmering and you had the option of being able to do it in a safe way with obviously like a splashback behind it, away from everything, that's what you'd do. So whatever cartoon Frenchman this kitchen is, he's clever, although somewhat unhygienic.
I kind of think it's like a little old lady that like she's been doing this, like she hasn't changed the equipment for 40 years, and this was the kitchen she moved into in this little hovel of hers. Perhaps I'm still going again.
With like, because again, I haven't seen Ratatouille, so I'm actually going with the chef from The Little Mermaid as what that stand-in is. Like this is his actual house.
I believe that is essentially that. The entire kitchen scene from The Little Mermaid is basically Ratatouille. So that's fine.
When I can actually remember when they were when it was being advertised, when Ratatouille was being advertised in trailers in the cinema and so on. I'm like, is this just a movie length version of the kitchen scene from The Little Mermaid? Because I would like to go to the premiere.
Anyway. Yes. So yeah, I think what do you think of the thoughts for moving forward with this? Or?
So something Jules said, which I mean, it's a card, but it had occurred to me, is in the chat, turn down the gas a bit because that is a rollicking
boil. Yeah, cool. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay. It's a separate layer in and of itself, so that's not a problem.
The color's
that's
great.
A good point.
The color's great. The light's great. But yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. We'll do that. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, and you can even now I'm looking at it from the minimized window on the YouTube app on my phone, and like the flame is like drawing attention and I'm like it's this size on my phone just now. So yeah, that's a good point.
No, cool. Other than that, it's pretty close to it's done until you do the final pass. As far as I'm concerned, I have nothing else to add. I think it's fantastic. In the same way, we absolutely elevated all of Lenormand's game. The royal we elevated all of Lenormand's game with the Flying Rats card. I think you've done the same with the mice card. So you specialize in annoying vermin.
Yes, well, it's a tale as old as time.
Brilliant. All right. So those are the two that there's nothing else previously. No. Oh yeah. The heart. And we'll start with
there was a mountain. No.
Oh yeah, there was. Sorry. I got that.
I think, but as I sent it to you, I also realized that I've made a mistake on it.
Let's jump over and see.
And it's like a big mistake. Like it's not a business mistake, but
do you mean because you put a Yeti in it?
No, yeah. I remember the minute I sent it, I was like, oh wait, we had a conversation about how it's a sacred mountain. There wouldn't be someone claiming it or trying to and failing. So that has to go, because that's kind of, it's sort of it's not really the message of the thing.
No. But now this is like the cryptid version of it. I like this. I don't want it.
Yeah, I was
definitely
trying
get
to
rid of it.
Yeah. Wait, I'll save him for some other project. It can go somewhere else.
Fortune's Fool's X.
But yeah, it was that, and just like sort of refining the sort of snow caps and the ice. I think I need to add in some snowy bits on the dark side of the mountain, like the sort of, like, just to make it look like it's not just one side is snowy, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. No, it's cool.
Snow capped.
But otherwise, again, it's fantastic. I think it's brilliant. It's one of my favorites, actually. Yeah. But that's my special mountain, so you know. All right. Okay, so tell us how you got on. I'll start with the drafts, but tell us how you got on with the old ticker this week.
Well, my heart has been through the ringer this week, because it's been a simple card from when we left off. Like, we had the idea was fairly solid, and that's not changed. So I kind of knew what the elements of it were going to look like and all that. But I have had an absolute ball of a time trying to figure out how to make the sort of rib cage effect. And it's going to be challenging. Truly, like, there is, and I've seen it done, so I know it says sometimes drawing, like digital drawing or sometimes it is like a puzzle, like you just have to solve like what it is. And I think just because if it had just been a heart by itself, it would be fine. But because we have a body, then a back rib cage, then a front rib cage, then a heart, like it's been quite frustrating. I'll say.
It's interesting, right? Because we're just on the draft,
but the idea is so good that I want it to, like, it needs to be there, because I know we've seen from the examples from Cuntboard, we've seen that it can work. If it can work via CGI or whatever, then I can make it happen in a digital drawing. Yeah, exactly. So it must happen. And it looked really good.
I can tell from the actual sketch to begin with that you like the idea is like you've got the idea correct, like, which is like heart in a front on, heart in a chest. And so you will eventually find it, and it will eventually not look exactly like that, but it will look like that. But these are just the drafts, because I wanted to show people the odyssey you have been on. Not that the ones that we're about to see are the final, but they are progressing further and further, and you can see Colin getting closer to the general idea.
Tantalizingly closer. I'm setting at like 114 layers for this, which is for what it is it's a lot of layers. Just trying to, like, there's 8 different versions of this rib cage just floating about in the sort of ether of this drawing. So we will get there.
yeah. Because I think it'll be really good, and just on this card, in terms of having the Montmartre in the background, City of Lights, kind of just as a hint, it's fantastic, like that. And it looks like those, because my dad had one. I wonder if we still have that. Just one of those cheap Paris in the Rain prints. Well, it wasn't a print; it was actually a painting, but it clearly wasn't the original. And so it's got that energy to it, which I really like.
That was kind of the reference, like it's like Van Gogh, like knockoff Van Gogh, like all that kind of stuff, like. But definitely that was the kind of, because it's not the focus, so I even did like I did a virtual tour, a Google Maps walk up the street that the Rue d'Abbesse.
Rue d'Abbesse.
That's the one. Just the tip of my tongue there. And it was like great, like it's and I was getting like that kind of heartsick way again of, well, again, fun for the card. Of like, oh, this is what traveling is like. This is what visiting a city is like, and I'm just like strolling up on Google. So it was fun to kind of in my head pretend that I could plan this trip, like this was a trip that was gonna happen. But yeah, so that was the reference for that.
Yeah.
And the heart. What do you think? So we were talking about the mix between like an anatomical and like a sacred heart, like a saint drawn or whatever, like a Jesus sort of stylized painting. So where do you stand with this? Like, it's not, again, this isn't finished because I need to figure out where the ribs all working before I start like placing everything finally on the heart. So we have time to kind of, if we want to change anything or if we want to make it more detailed, I think it'll be more vibrant in color.
Yeah. So I'm not, because it looks like at the moment, because again, it's not done, but at the moment it looks like a badly drawn anatomical heart. And it's not.
It started out as just anatomy, like it was kind of reference from it, and then I was like, well, we want to do the sort of saint area of it and make it kind of holier than thou. So I kind of started making it more of the traditional peach shape. But it was just to see where, like, what direction you would prefer it to go into.
I actually think you should just Google image, just get your Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet on and Google image search a bunch of Catholic art.
Yeah.
Because I need it to look like that. Because this, again, looks like and it isn't a badly drawn anatomical heart, right? So I think I want to go more in that direction, especially as, and I'm not saying you will, but if we fail at getting the almost like cough syrup add glow correct in the rib cage, I actually really like the kind of Romeo and Juliet Baz Luhrmann Catholic treatment on the second card anyway. Obviously, that'd need to be less opaque. It obviously need to be blended in a bit more so that it's not sitting on top of it. But in general, that's a really good execution of that's still in the cinematic universe, which is a term I invented to have it working like that. So kind of have that one as a backup because I actually really like it. I think that's quite cool in and of itself, which means if we fail to crack the cough syrup TV commercial chest glow, we can go full Baz Luhrmann.
That is, I know we talked about it, that was like part of the reference last week. We were talking about your experience basically co-directing the Moulin Rouge.
Exactly.
But that is randomly unlocked a memory from the time where I was so when that all came out and the marketing all came out for it, I was obsessed with so there was like the poster style, like the art style, like everything was like that kind of yieldy type, but I was like obsessed with it. I like I made my own, like that is it's funny how the old brain works. So that's a great reference and interesting to consider. Yeah, okay, got it. That's fine. Much of this episode is just me sort of talking to myself and then agreeing with you.
No, it's good, and there's more of a journey because if we do get the glowing heart right, and like the reason, because someone mentioned it, the cough syrup effect is avoided if the glow comes from like a hyper Catholic Baz Luhrmann heart rather than an anatomical one. That's why I said that last week, because I like the glow, but I don't want it to look like you have heartburn. So, and if it doesn't work, because again, we've done this before, experiment-wise, like if it doesn't work, I like the Baz Luhrmann Catholic option otherwise anyway. I think it looks really cool. And it's Montmartre. Like it's, the 3 Catholics left in France will care.
It's an ode to them.
Exactly. Awesome. So anything else to say about the heart? You got stuff to go on?
We got the sac chakra symbol in there again. No, that's fine. I was the rib cage thing.
I didn't want to say anything because like it's not done yet, so it doesn't matter. But it's probably a bit too bright. I don't know. I might even lose it. See how we go getting the heart right. But I really like the idea of it. I really like the idea of it being in there. But if we can get the heart and the glow right, it's enough. When you are actually working with someone's heart chakra, I don't see the Sanskrit anyway. So it's kind of like, that's the inaccurate thing about this card, not everything else. That's the inaccurate thing. It's like, you don't see the Sanskrit character with the heart chakra.
for a guy
you
in
people are
love
frauds.
Well, the fun thing about the fun thing about like digital drawing, or in terms of this kind of project, is that it could just be on a layer hidden behind, and it would be there in spirit and literally in a kind of material way, but you just wouldn't see it if it's too busy and it's too much.
Exactly.
But it's still in the mix, if you know what I mean.
Definitely.
I've just got like there's layers and layers of just like penises and stuff that I've just like kit like
just hidden in there.
From like high school. Yeah.
Classic Disney.
Colin was here, just like, and they're just like hidden in the background.
Awesome. Well, speaking of penises, let's talk about the ring. Or rings. This is one of my favorite cards. It's, again, it has more darkness than the heart card, which is the best. Or it can sometimes not be a good card, is a weird way of saying it. And an even weirder way of beginning my description of the ring card. But the obvious things are fidelity, loyalty, and like the beginning of a union. So it literally can signify marriage, but also contracts in general. So depending on where it is in relation, if you're going for a job in a bank or at a library, where's the tower, where's the ring, where's the letter, that kind of stuff, because it is literally a contract. So a union can be an arranged marriage, if that's, what's going on this season on RuPaul's Drag Race, and probably would be. It can be a merger, that kind of stuff, if you're looking at it in a corporate sense. So that's the kind of main signification of the card. But because it's a ring, and this is a discussion about magic rings, because it's a ring, it encircles. So one of the reasons we use rings as potent symbols and magical activators of things like marriage is that it barrierizes in a benign way who is inside and who is outside of it. So you kind of seal people, you seal in with your beloved because it is encircled, it is protected. So that energy's in there. That energy's in there as well. From a health perspective, it can also be going in for regular treatment. So dialysis or repetition or going around in circle, because the ring is a kind of closed or infinite loop. So that's what I mean by it isn't always a good card, because you might be looking at a merger of enemy companies, or you're asking like, I'm going in for kidney pain. What's this going to look like? It can be that as well. But generally it is about, is someone being true? Is someone being different to the love card? Like the heart card is love. Is someone being true? They might be in love, they might not. And generally speaking, so there's the man-woman significator. If the ring is on I'm going to do it backwards so you guys can see it. If the ring is on the left of the significator, it's probably not a good sign, because it means that person is leaving the union, right? Not just in general. That's if you've asked the question. Like if you throw a tableau down and there's you and there's the wife, and the ring is to the left of the wife, it's not like, oh shit, it's all over. But if consequently, if it's on the right, it's someone going towards it, or is it generally considered a better sign? So with all of that in mind, and in particular that kind of secondary binding and encircling, we will, everyone hold your breath as we jump to Cuntboard. I've just got the live streaming stuff up. I need to go to Pinterest. There we go. That wasn't even Cuntboard's fault. So we are going with Vilya. Vilya is Elrond's ring. Phrasing. This is the third of the 3 Elven rings, because obviously I was going to do something Lord of the Rings related, but the One Ring can't do it because it's bad. It's like literally the evilest thing in creation. So it's not a good, and again, we don't want to get sued. We don't want to get sued. So no one cares about Elrond's ring, which is called Vilya. It is the Ring of Air, and no one's actually quite sure what it did, except that it, all the rings, according to Tolkien in one of his letters, said that the rings have the power to sustain that which you most love or desire. So that was actually the main kind of reason the elves created, because people used to still ask this, why the fuck did the elves even make the rings if it turned into this mess? And it was because of their immortality and the lack of understanding or confusion around the passing away of things like trees and so on. So they created these objects that can sustain. And that's why places like Rivendell and Lothlorien are gloriously fecund and preserved. But in Rivendell's case in particular, you'll notice, and Peter did this really well in the films, that it's autumnal. So our knockoff Rivendell, not that it is Rivendell because we're not going to get sued, in the same way when it comes to the Insets, any resemblance to people living or dead is coincidental. If you look at how it's depicted in the films, it's a permanent autumn, right? So Elrond's ring, Vilya, has managed to sustain Imladris, the Hidden Valley, but the power of the elves is passing away. And one of the geniuses of Peter Jackson is that he can depict that without anyone but me and other gross nerds knowing it. But in general, that Tolkien sat with this idea, well, what is a ring? Because he was obviously very interested in like Anglo-Saxon mythology and Nordic sagas and all the rest of it. And it is this binding, but it is a commitment into the future. It is a belief or spell for the preservation of that which you love. So that's kind of where he sat with, and he basically said all the rings do that. And of course, Sauron desired power. So that idea, power and control, so that it sustained the thing that he loved most, which was power and control. For the elves, it's, gay shit like leaves. So it's much more our energy. But so that's why, like, it needs to be, it had to be, it didn't have to be something Lord of the Rings, but it had to signal that rings are a spell. Rings are magic. Not just magic rings are magic, all rings are magic. All rings matter. I might update my Grindr profile. Anyway.
Just a picture of the ring. Just go for it.
All rings matter. All right. So I'm going to, jump back to Cunt Board because there's a couple more. Not really. Like, just if people are interested and want to rewatch the films. Because now, Colin, you watch Two Towers. The Mountain. Now you can watch.
So that's
Fellowship of the Ring.
The Fellowship.
Yeah. So
that is interesting. Just from what you said there, little sync and a little an advanced sync. So I knew it was the ring coming up because we briefly discussed it at the end of the last show. Just what we're thinking, what's it going to be, and as the week progressed, randomly, so the minute the ring cards, I think of it was this like Viking ring that showed up and it had like Arabic writing on it. It was a few years ago. It's like this beautiful old piece of shit, right? And it showed up again this week. Like it's one of those things that does the rounds on Twitter. Like it's like an interesting artifact and people like discuss it and stuff. Because no one can come up with anything new to sort of discuss apparently in these dire times. But it came up just randomly, and it is so just in terms of like related to like the Nordic kind of element of what Tolkien was like interested in with like the magic of the rings and stuff. So I just thought that was interesting, and it's giving you time to load up the cunt board.
Yeah, exactly. Talk amongst yourselves while we do. We can also quickly leave it. So that's the ring, but we want to talk about the mise en scène because we had a couple of ideas, and I wasn't sure because it does follow on from the heart card. My first idea, but the trouble is I was going to go with a sort of, if we were staying in that kind of Amelie idea, someone holding, so you can't really see their head, but as if you were doing a weird proposal to someone on the street where you're like literally holding the ring up to their face. So we could be like, oh, it's sort of on the same street as the heart stuff, as if this guy has suddenly had indigestion glowing love heart and then going to propose to this woman coming out of the Abbas metro stop. And I'm like, yeah, it can't just be an engagement ring. It actually has to be all that. So it kind of widened out for me, and it needed the polyvalence that rings do, and that's one of them. And it's one of like joy and so on. But it is also, in a funny way, one of secreting or preserving or enclosing that which one loves. So that needed to be it. So I'm like, oh, sweet. I guess I'm back in Lord of the Rings town, and thought about it. I'm like, no, it's got to be Vilya out of all of them. And mostly like Galadriel's ring, Nenya. It was actually the third one I thought of, because I was originally going to go with Galadriel's ring because it kind of sustains life in a very obvious sense. But it is too camp even for a show that is basically 60% RuPaul's Drag Race commentary. Like it's, if you look at the one that they designed, and it's great for Galadriel. I get why they made it, right? But it's not right for RuPaul's, well, Madame Lenormand's best friend's race. Like it's not right for Fortune's Fools. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I've always resonated more with Gandalf's ring anyway.
I'm just enjoying this as a raid as a viewer now at this point. Like, yeah, see how many sort of iterations of this we can sort of fit.
Oh my God. It's like emojis. So you get the butt card and then the ring card and then the tower. And it's like, I know what you're doing
Jesus. Having a good old time.
Anyway, Gandalf's ring is more about inspiring and inflaming the hearts of the free races of Middle-earth against Sauron. So it's an inspirational ring. The rest of this episode is gonna it's gonna hurt like I don't want to say it.
Just take a deep breath, all right? Take a deep breath. That's what they say, right?
The rest of this episode is going to have a bit of hemorrhoids.
Oh dear.
So after a process of elimination, I ended up on Elrond's ring phrasing.
And it looks fabulous. I will say, so when I was Googling the ring, which, you know, again, troubling. A version of the card, I don't know if it's a printed card, but it does truly look like it was like a stylistic take on it. And it does, I am kidding, you know, I'll share it in Telegram. It just looks like a sphincter. Like, I don't know I couldn't tell you what the process was, but it just looked like, you know, a ring. And I was like, well, someone's done it before we did it, so we now have to go in a different direction.
yeah, good. Anyway, bringing it back to the mise-en-scène, having told you about all the rings I've been in, I think to kind of wink at our off-brand Rivendell, not that you'll be able to see this because I'm picturing it kind of closer. It will be inspired, by the way, when they did the Lord of the Rings as films, Peter had from memory 12 different ring sizes made, so that, and one of them was like not quite a hula hoop, right, but like a dinner plate size one, all of pure gold because it's Hollywood, but they were of different sizes so we could get these incredible close-ups, because one of the things they had to solve is how you make it a character. And so you'll see there's these amazing shots of the ring that are probably a 6-inch diameter gold ring rather than the one that goes on people's fingers. We won't be doing that, but it's that kind of idea. If you watch through them again, like when it's on the floor of Bag End and elsewhere where it's just kind of like a real close-up of it. And I'm thinking top-down, although I'm prepared to be convinced otherwise. And I see it on like a table on the balcony of the house in the house card. There is no table on the balcony, nor will there be. But to kind of like nod to the Rivendell thing, and I don't know what the table's going to look like. Is it stone? Is it autumnal in the Urubamba Valley? I don't know. But I'm seeing it I'm seeing it sitting, like lying down on basically a table, as if, not to say that people are discussing it, but just to kind of, to borrow from Peter Jackson, make it a character, make it its own thing. That's kind of, and it might even be like literally a bistro table. Like it might actually be something nice like that, or it could just be on wood grain. I don't quite know, but I see it lying down and kind of like filling the frame quite a bit. Rather than, because I thought about, if we go back to, let me just G it up. If we go back to Cunt Board and we look at the, we gaze intently once more. Loads. This is why we're waiting here.
Well, while we wait, to the point that I hinted at earlier, if it's in that sort of story element of the house card, then that to me it makes sense just in a work style sense to work on both of those together for the next show. So because it's been set them to do a file for weeks, so it would be a good time to combine the forces of the energies of the card and just kind of
love it.
Power through the ring, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. Just really pound on it until something happens. Just until it opens up to you. Just keep working.
You just really got to get in there,
Yeah. And don't listen if it says it needs more lube. Anyway, so I don't want it to be side on like this. Yeah, I don't. I really do think it's sort of a top-down view of a top's view of the ring.
Yeah, you want to see the full look of the situation.
I want it to gape. I want
no, and that's so. What time of so? I always ask this kind of question, and it seems like it's irrelevant. But what time of day do you think it is?
Afternoon, it's literally off-brand Rivendell, so I think it's afternoon in autumn. Like literally,
right?
This is due. So golden light. That's what I mean. Watch Fellowship.
Yeah.
And just if you see anything you like in Rivendell, take it.
Just bump it. No, I'm just thinking like there could be like a long shadow and like where they kept the light cast.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
It's like because it will be like a close-up shot of you're not really going to see a table. You're going to see, the material of the table,
yes,
but you're not going to see a scene. So giving it context and size and stuff we'll make it a little character.
Yeah, cool. I think the only caution there is it can't be too melancholy. It can't be like, it can't give us Miss Havisham vibes. It can't be like abandoned at the altar.
Left on the table, like the ring left on the table that hasn't been used.
A golden light doesn't necessarily mean that. But if there's like dead leaves and shit everywhere, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Okay, I'm thinking of props now as one does.
Whenever I think of rings, I think of props.
Yes, of course. Just a lid bottle in the corner. That's fine. Okay, interesting. It may be just one of those ones that ends up being very simple in terms of what we're looking at.
Yeah, its actual cousin is obviously the clover. It's set in the house card.
Yeah,
but it's that kind of like it's jewelry. Come on, yeah. And
that was an interesting thing about this. Sorry.
Now, having said top down, the only other bit I'm concerned about is when you come to do the detail on Villiers. No, it's going to have to be in an angle, isn't it? Because if you look at the detail, like
because you want to see the
the sapphire, you won't see the so it's going to have to be at some sort of angle. Interesting. Let's redo all of that in my head. So that actually opens up some fun for putting it on the table, because then that does kind of make it a shallow depth of field shot.
Yeah, you can give more of a scene.
And that will actually give it the golden light without it looking like a abandoned wedding Miss Havisham vibes thing.
that is odd. It's going to be that will be like a challenge, because
like, why is this ring on the fucking table? Yeah.
I guess if you follow along and like you're a fan of I don't know.
Well, they'll read it in the book, right? Because we won't go through all the butt jokes in this. 20 pages of it.
I think one or two.
Yeah. But after those 20 pages of butt jokes, there's something melancholic vainglorious about wedding rings anyway, because it is this signification of eternity in a universe in which all things fade and all things change. So there is actually something melancholic about rings. I thought there was a butt joke coming, but there's something melancholic about rings anyway, in that they say something that isn't true, even when they're saying something true. And so I think if we have like golden light, see how it goes. But I think like I do want to see this sapphire because I don't want it to just look like an engagement ring or something. I want it to be like, this one's quite manly, obviously, because it was for Elrond, which I think is also good. So it's not just some sort of cute clip art of an improbable diamond like the Kohinoor on like a little gold band, right? I want it
fabulous.
Yeah.
Avoid. Oh god. Yeah. I'm assuming at the angle you're wanting to get you want to see like the circle situated, the shape. Obviously, it's not. Yeah.
There are some quite good shots of the ring, the One Ring, at an angle, particularly when it starts to get like the black speech fire going around it. There are some quite good angle shots like that that can be inspirational, and I think that might be it's always a good idea to watch The Fellowship of the Ring, but but yeah, that would be my suggestion. And I think if it's on the table, this is kind of fun, right? So if it's on the table, you won't see any of this because it'll be blurred or too close up. But you can kind of imply, like you could actually see the railing and the river valley behind it in the other direction. So you know how we're sort of looking in from the house? If it's on a table on the balcony, you're probably looking out at it, right? And so that might, again, kind of like with the heart card, you're not going to see a lot. You see more of it than in the heart card. But it's cool to know it's there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing it. That's okay.
Nathan, silhouetted couples are your answer for everything. All right.
It's so in terms of like the material of the table, so it's a wooden balcony, right?
Yeah. Again, well, you
and we don't want to give. Yeah. Sure fucking do. We don't really want a stone situation. As it
I'd
maybe
happily
like
have stone. I'd happily have a stone table. I would have one here if I could afford it, but they're expensive.
It's expensive and heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. But right, I know what time of day it is for it, so that's like really that's usually my starting point with any of these is like what time of day it is, and then what are we dealing with, and we can go from there.
Remember last week, my first thought was, because I hadn't settled on Villa at the time, my first thought was that it was going to be on a wet rock. So it's not quite like beside the river.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and I still like that idea. I still like that idea. So if the table thing fails, we can do that, and it's kind of like on a rock in front of it. Because it's not, funnily enough, it actually is a hidden treasure card. So, or a treasure card in general. Like if you're doing a card reading for, what's going to happen this weekend on my antiquing trip, and you land on the ring card, you're actually going to find something really good, right? So it actually is, it also signifies jewelry fairly obviously. And I'm just wondering, because I want it to be a magic ring, but I don't want it to be like a lost magic ring. Unless I do. And I'm not sure. What do you
reckon? Is the list. Well, there is, and if anyone can cast their mind back to the last time we saw the house card, there is a stream in front of the house, and there is rocks. That is like in the placement of that. So definitely and it could be that, I mean, if we decide on the angle of the ring, then the background is entertaining. Like we can go with one thing or the other, because as long as we have the main event kind of like drawn and kind of sorted, everything else is just like cake on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're both in the same real estate. So
well, yeah, it's funny. So if we went down the wet rock route, a wet ring,
would you want to like?
You could, like, the background would be the river still, but it would be much closer to it, which is kind of fun in and of itself. Sketch try sketch both, right, and see what you vibe with. Because now I've convinced myself I want the rock.
Well, you said it. You said that this was our very brief end of show, like our sort of wrap up. Like once
when we talk about all you idiots in the chat.
Mostly we discuss the current events of RuPaul Charles. But I could smell it. I could like see it. Like it was kind of. I got the kind of the sense of it, but yeah, we can sketch both and then see what kind of lands or does not land.
Yeah. So you could have leaves floating in the stream. Alan's suggestion. You know what?
I was such a basic autumn bitch. I'm like, that's so cute. That's such a Pinterestable.
Well, you're a white millennial.
Image.
Come on.
Yeah, give me my cinnamon. No. What's the autumn one? It's not cinnamon latte. It's the other one. I'll have that one. No, it is a cinnamon. Sorry, excuse me.
All right, let's go with wet rock. We wet rock supremacists, and if it doesn't work, we'll go with balcony. But it's still in the house card.
Yes, it's on the premises.
All right, cool. I feel better about that, and it does give you options because if the leaves don't work, but I do like the idea of it. It just depends on the camera angle, if you will, as to how close to the water or how much is there, and have a play with that and see what you come up with. But actually, I think that wet rock beside the river it's actually the Urubamba River in the house card. Yeah, so it's not Rivendell. It's my eco lodge in Peru. You can't sue me, Soul's Ants.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Do you see that as like a top down, or are we just like playing with that and sort of figuring it out?
I see it still at an angle so that you see the rock and you see river behind it, kind of, and downriver. So it's like lazily. You won't see much. You kind of will see some of this. It means most of the verticality of the card is going to be sky, but also like fading really, really high mountains, like what we did last time. Those really steep mountains. So it's sort of like the ring is front row center. It actually is. Do you know what it's like? It's like a 1980s Rolex magazine ad, where the jewelry is on a rock.
I can, it's usually like the Swiss Alps in the back or something. I can
you see it.
I get it. That might be just so we can make the ring larger and kind of have everything in. That may be like a slight. Yes, we're using all the tools available to us. That could maybe like it comes up over the insets. The ring is like the main show, and it's there. The insets, the ace of what is the inset? I know it's clubs. No, not for ring. Sorry, isn't it?
No, I can't remember.
I think it's the one of clubs. I'm going to say
the one of clubs. The ring, Lenormand.
I think it is. I think
I looked at it last week, and I'm coming off all kind of weird. Oh yeah, it is. It's the ace of clubs.
Yes, I'm becoming a master.
There you go. Well done. I didn't look at it till last week, which is good.
Only because I literally. So when I Google the card to find the meaning, to figure out what the song choice is going to be, I go in and look at I go into the Google. This is the kind of intellect you're dealing with right here. I go in to look at it, and I'm like,
I've been making butt jokes for an hour.
I'm like, we're on card. Like that's how I judge where I am, not by looking at the title of the YouTube video or anything. Like I'm like, we're at card 24 because that's what the image says in Google. Like that's where I'm going for that. That's where I am right now.
Well, that's good. I would have literally gone straight to song without even talking about the inset. But so thank you for asking what it is, because I didn't. I looked at it last. Anyway, this is one of the ones. Remember back in like a lot of the cards that are clubs that seem weird. We have to remember that they used to be shields in the state or crests in the status sense. So this is one of them, right? Like this is it's a big deal because marriages were arranged. So it's a ring is a status object, as is a contract, and it's the beginning of like a bit of work or a lifetime of effort. And I'm not making like a married with children joke about, although I am, about marriage. But that's kind of why the ring is the ace of clubs. It's actually fairly obvious in the sense of it being a single high status object, and also the beginning of a journey. Of a journey that, remember, the clubs used to be not just status, but family status in particular, because they were heralds. So it was kind of like the beginning of a new family. It really was an engagement ring to start with, because that's all motherfuckers come to fortune tellers for. Does he still love me? Or is he going to marry me? So, yeah, inset done.
Large.
Yeah. Oh, like, I literally would have missed that. And what were we going to do? Like, episode 25.1. Yeah, it's all good. We got there in the end.
Would have remembered. It would have been in the Telegram chat or something. It would have been. Would have figured it out. Don't
Which
worry.
we also haven't
we have
mentioned.
fun here.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned. You're only getting half the story if you're not in the Telegram chat. Less butt talk. You have to show up for the sex jokes, I think. But well, we could change that, I guess. But other than that, we're on to the song. And I'm very happy with mine this week. But what did you go with? I don't even know what you ended up picking.
So, yes, I was like, and this is one where I just have to admit defeat, because I was like, I knew there was a song. And at one point I was like literally looking at like dad rocks albums and stuff, because I was like, I know it's from like slightly before our time, you know, and I know it's in it, and I just could not locate it. So I went with Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash, because it's about his falling in love with his wife and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't. It was more about passion and the sort of relationship, that kind of aspect of a commitment and all that kind of stuff. So yes, and also Lady Gaga, The Cure, because that is just about supporting someone. But that really was just I was throwing spears in the water and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
So yes, I will admit defeat this time, because what was your song?
So I went with "I'll Stand by You" because it just captures, that's the energy of the ring card, that fidelity stuff, and it's not the, so the Jack of Hearts is the inset for the heart card. Because it isn't always young love, but it really is that passionate beginning of love. The ring is it's a mature ring. Anyway, back in Gandalf. But so it's got that energy of I'm with you to the end. So real lovely, kind of not even cool, but like a warmed, reliable love. And that's, and similarly, and also because this is a bit cute and lovey, Somewhere Only We Know, the Keen one, the Lily Allen one, which was used for Christmas, and actually many of the covers of it that you will find from like millennial Disney singers who half dress up as things on YouTube. And that's got that secret connection, because the ring encloses lovers. So if you're offering someone a ring, you are inviting them to join you in a secret journey, somewhere only we know. Like, it is just us inside this ring, phrasing. So yeah, those are my two songs.
And the minute you told me the Pretender song, I went and listened to it, and I was just like doing like like I was lip syncing to it. I was like, because I've not heard it in a while, and I was just like, oh, this is such a fucking good song. Like, it has a good song. Fabulous. Like, that's all I can say.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so what are you up to this week? Playing with your ring
this week? Thinking about rings. Yeah. Not the first time. Ring stuff, house stuff. And that's only two. So I'm going to throw a wild card in there, and you'll figure it out.
Cool.
and the 22 seconds that it takes to get us to the next stage.
Couple of minutes of painting up the house and then thinking and playing with your ring. It's a good week.
Indeed, yes. I mean, listen, these are troubling times, and we must do what we must do to get by. What are your plans for the week?
Well, I might be going off on some kind of... I've got a bunch of stuff this weekend. I'm seeing a play tonight. That's James's idea, obviously, but I'm like, okay. So I'm middle class and proud of
Fabulous.
it.
Fabulous. Is it a known player? Or is it
it's an Arthur Miller play. It's one he hasn't seen. So, like, in that sense, the actual play will be good. I'm not sure what Tasmanian rep is quite like when it comes to theatre. We'll see. And I'm about to find out. So we're doing that. And and I might be off working on the book next week. That'll be fun.
Fabulous. Well, it sounds like you've got an episode of Schitt's Creek ahead of you. Seeing the local fair.
Nice one. Yeah, all right, cool. And guys, thanks for the chat. Really good feedback and energy this week. So you all must be really interested in Colin's ring. See ya.
Oh, geez. Well, guys, OnlyFans, it's there. Bye.